The Holiday Parks Uncovered podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only, and any and all views expressed by the hosts or guests, including but not limited to any liability for errors, inaccuracies, omission of misleading or defamatory statements, should be taken as such.
We are Holiday Park Uncovered. Hello and welcome to Holiday Parks Uncovered, the podcast.
Your destination for all horror stories related to holiday parks.
We are your hosts, Punk
and Jude.
Today we're joined on the show by Natasha. Natasha, take it away.
My story relates to a Lyons-owned park called Robin Hood. Sadly, I purchased a caravan way back in 2021 with no real experience of the industry. The salesman spent the day showing us around the site and took us to see the rental team for subletting. We didn't see anything that we felt was suitable. As we were leaving, he came after us to show us one more that he'd forgotten about. And we liked that one, so we agreed to purchase it. I had a voucher from their advert offering £1,000 off any van. We picked our plot and laid a deposit down. I didn't want to take their finance, so put £8,000 down, following the initial £1,000 deposit, and we actually took a loan out for the remaining £25,000. So the purchase was finalised in July of 2021. We were then told we couldn't have the plot due to arguments with that current owner that sounded like they were trying to kick off the site. We picked another plot via the video clips that the salesman sent to us. It had a railway running behind that we weren't told about and was conveniently left out of the video clip sent to us. They confirmed they would rent it out from the first week of summer holidays. There were numerous issues with this due to their communication. I expressed to the salesman I was very unhappy with them and felt for the amount of money I invested, their sales was awful. I asked about the £1,000 offer, but they refused this, stating it was only specific vans, but couldn't tell me which ones these were, so it didn't apply to the van we bought. After a few initial issues, we had a relatively successful rental period, although there was some things that they did leave out and that I didn't see in the contract, and turns out wasn't in the contract, and it was to do with we couldn't use any of our own tradespeople for things like gas and electric. It had to be through Lyons, and we were only allowed to buy decking from their linked company. So it's actually just one of their family members or buddies who they use. So all the money, I guess, is continuously just being siphoned and going round in a circle. But as I said, we did have kind of a relatively successful rental period after that with minimal issues. The following year, I asked them if they could make sure that my van was rented out for most of the year in between using it ourselves, and the subletting team was supposed to handle this. They had minimal rentals even during their busiest period. They kept advising no one was booked in yet. I arrived to find dirty washing outside, and neighbours told me it was rented out constantly. So the subletting team was supposed to obviously handle that for us. They're telling us that no rentals are taking place. I had a family turned up, booked in when I was there on one occasion. The site still maintained it wasn't booked out, even though they manage all the subletting. So it's just madness. It doesn't make any sense. During this period of, air quotes, minimal rentals, the kitchen table, cooker and shower were all damaged. I ended up needing a new cooker, table and a completely new shower, including all the walls, etc. I have no idea if this was needed, as I only had their word, so they're telling me that's what I need to do. Their workmen took longer than advised, causing me further issues with rentals in summer, and after reportedly fixing one problem, there was a leak in the van, needing me to have newer carpets not long after that. I had the neighbours tell me of overcrowded bookings. The site just denied everything, so there was double booking sometimes, which obviously I didn't know about. I couldn't afford the costs associated with the van in the end, and I didn't like how the site handled matters. And to be honest, the stories I heard from other people were just incredibly worrying. So I eventually had to look into selling it. The site eventually agreed on buying it from me for £9,000 less costs. They claimed it was a trader, and although it was a massive loss in a short time, we're talking less than 2 years after I bought it, I just wanted to cut my losses and run. So in the end, I just signed their paperwork, emptied the van and handed the keys back, selling the van onto the site / the trader. I was told I would be paid a week later. I didn't receive the payment a week later, so I chased them. They initially told me, no, you have been paid. When advised I hadn't, they claimed the trader pulled out and they could try and get me another offer. This, of course, was around £1,500 to £2,000 less. So obviously the previous sale was all signed. So I asked them to put in writing, explaining it to me how suddenly a trader could drop out when we had a signed agreement, because obviously my recourse was legal action, and they just ignored me. So I did eventually get a solicitor involved, and with the threat of the solicitor's action, it was the same afternoon, they paid me immediately. Emotionally, I suffered a great deal of stress. I didn't really enjoy owning the van in the end. I can only assume they committed fraud and deception with the bookings, claiming it was empty and keeping all the money themselves. I had neighbours sending me pictures that the van was occupied. I obviously had all the damage. I obviously had people turn up saying they'd booked my van when I was there. Did the showers need changing? Did all that work need doing? I feel like they just created jobs to make money. So from the purchase to sale and the jobs that needed doing, I believe I eventually stopped calculating, but it was in the region of 25,000 in just over 2 years. I'm really annoyed at myself for buying a van. If I'm honest, I'm a bit ashamed, but the salespeople are not transparent and they're very, very good at misrepresenting. They don't tell you about selling on. They don't tell you about they're going to make it impossible for you to sell the van, the 15% commission they take if you sell privately, and they have to agree to the purchases is predatory in my opinion. My site also didn't allow any of the traders on the site, so how was a trader going to buy your van if they're not being allowed onto the site? It's the thing you guys just talk about, the block and flip. My personal opinion is they are criminals and they're bullies, making money out of taking people's life savings and putting people into a great deal of financial stress. I really hope with the stuff that the Holiday Park Action Group are doing that the government start to take notice and regulate, because this has lasting damage. I'm still paying off debt I suffered investing in this dream I was sold that turned into an absolute nightmare. It's just heartbreaking.
Another Holiday Park Uncovered.
Absolutely. Well, Jude, that's all the time we have. Thank you for listening, listener, and join us on the next episode, won't you?
The Holiday Parks Uncovered podcast is for informational purposes only and does not constitute medical, legal, or financial advice.